Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. All right. How you doing, everybody? Iggy Garcia here. Iggy Garcia live, broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the universe. So I hope you have a little time to spend with me here. Fix my camera a little bit. There we go. All right. So I want to welcome everybody to the show. I hope you can stick around for a little bit. We have a special guest tonight. My special guest tonight is the Astra Veda, also known as Lindsey Hooper. Some of you may know her as Lindsey Hooper, and some of you may know her as the Astra Veda. In English, they would call it Astra Veda. And in Spanish, it's Astra Veda. So she will be joining us here shortly, and she'll be on the show with us. And she'll be sharing her gifts with us, talking about what she does. She'll be open for sharing and giving readings to those who are looking for that kind of stuff tonight. So hopefully you can join us here. And so I'm trying to navigate some things here, some new features on here that I'm not familiar with. But anyways, so what we're gonna do is, like we start all our shows, we're gonna light our candle. We're gonna give thanks to the ancestors and bring in the energy we need for this show tonight to give us some clearance and some closure, some peace, some love, anything that we need in order to let go of that which doesn't serve us. I apologize, my microphone's out of reach a little bit. So this is what we light a candle, just to honor ourselves, to honor those who come before us. So good energy. Feels good, feels right. All right, so moving along, let that candle burn. And we also light some sage during the show, just to kind of move the energy, get it going, get it cleared, get it moving. I love this stuff. Puts us in a really good mood. Clearing and cleansing, clearing the energy, moving that which doesn't serve us, asking the universe to recycle it, to make it something good, something better, something with the purpose, a higher purpose of that, whatever that may be. Very good. All right, so a lot of you know that I've been on this journey, and this journey is pretty much a journey of healing pieces and parts of myself and working on the aspects of my body, my physicality, my intake of what I eat. So I actually have been cutting out meat products from my diet for about 35 days. Now I'm on day 16. So today I made spinach cakes, which were pretty good, with some black beans and some rice. Yeah, it turned out really good. It was a dish that my mom used to make all the time, and I really, really, really loved it. Something that I really, truly enjoyed, and something that I really just touches just really good. I love it. So it's been an interesting journey, just cutting out meat from my diet, and the connections and the feelings. Am I feeling more spiritual? Am I feeling more connected to source? Um, I don't know if there's a huge, big difference. Excuse me. But I do feel like there is a different vibration in my body, like emotionally, spiritually, and physically. I feel a little bit completely different than I did when I first started. When I first started, I wasn't sure in what direction I was going to be going. I didn't know how I was going to go. Some friends thought I was going to have like this I don't know, this lapse of in this moment of weakness. And I haven't had any moments of weakness at all. So which is that is good. That is good for me. I mean, I appreciate that. I'm glad that my body is where it needs to be. And so, that's what we try to do when we excuse me, when we go on to these different things that will alter our belief system, alter our change our emotions, our feelings. So I'm pretty stoked about that. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while and just haven't been able to do it because of one reason or another. Or I wasn't ready. It wasn't the time yet. I wasn't committed yet to do it. And now I'm in the place where, I feel open to all the possibilities that can happen with my newfound excitement for creating new dishes with no meat. And it's funny because it's not really difficult. It's just you have to kind of be creative. Cooking in the kitchen, I own restaurants for years, so that's not a huge deal. Cook not a creation is not a problem for me. So I just sound like a I just sound like not a but my energy's been up, I believe, a lot since I changed this diet a little bit. Um, I was telling one of my friends today, several I've been talking to a whole bunch of people today about just the different aspects of how I'm feeling. So it's been pretty good. The biggest thing is just energetic wise. Today's the only day that I felt kind of like a little tired, and that could be just because the routine I'm in and my body's adjusting and the connection that I'm kind of severing to some degree. You kind of sever something. You sever, that connection a little bit when you start to change the way you eat. So will Iggy Garcia become a vegetarian? Probably not, but I will eat less meat. Yes. I know when I'm coming out of this thing is probably going to be the crucial point for me is when I come out of this. That's going to be the key because the one thing I don't want to do is just go, oh, I'm going to go eat meat because I'm not on this diet no more. That's not where I want to go. That's not the direction that I want to be in because that is not the purpose of this fasting. I will go, and I probably will start with fish and seafood. Probably be more my regiment over the course of time, like salmon and stuff like that. Because, granted, I like to eat. I have a sacred contract with these special beings on this planet, and they understand. And we all have a moment in time where we share our body, our flesh, with some kind of being on this planet. The mosquito sucks your blood and it drinks the blood and it feeds its babies with it. And so I saw a mosquito today. So my dog was like, "What's a mosquito?" And I'm like, "That's a big mosquito." And she's like, "Yeah." Why? It's almost like we're having this conversation. Why is there a mosquito right now? I mean, one of those big, I call them daddy long leg mosquitoes because they're kind of big. And yeah, it showed up and it was flying around in my kitchen. My dog was like jumping at it. But I thought it was kind of weird that we had a mosquito already. I did have the doors open today. I didn't know we'd have that much water puddling, and I didn't think they would really uh, hatch that fast. But hey, Mother Nature's ready to go. She's ready for spring. She's ready to rock and roll. She's ready to kick it, and that's what she does. And so, anyways, I'm just pretty stoked about it. And so, spring is here. We're ready to change and move into the direction that we need to move in, and get ready to go on these new adventures and find these new things that we want to do with our spirit, our soul, and share that with people and just kind of do some really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to this year. Last year, I don't know, there wasn't really anything to look forward to in the sense of we were locked down, locked in. We weren't allowed to go anywhere. And so now we're here. Now we're here and we're in this place and we're sharing and we are moving along. I'm gonna check my phone here real quick. Maybe I'm getting a phone call coming in, and I'm gonna see what's going on. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Are you having a problem logging in on the Zoom there?
Well, for some weird reason, I mean, it could have been because I was writing out a prayer to Santa Muerte, and she was like,
Okay.
"Finish this."
Well, let me do this. You want to stay on this phone? I can patch you onto my speaker.
Yeah, you know what? That would honestly be great. I mean,
Okay.
we could just stay on the phone. If that
Give me 1
works, then
second.
that's it, but
We're gonna work the magic of technology here real quick. Shouldn't take too long.
I usually never have a problem. You want me to download Zoom?
You will be on here real quick.
Huh?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to download Zoom or anything, or you just want to do it from phone, or what?
You are now on the air, on the phone.
Okay.
Hopefully the
All
people
right.
listen to this show can listen to you or not. So if they can't hear you, they will let me know, and we can adjust from there.
You can probably hear me better now.
Yeah, I think so. Let me ask everyone on the. All right, everybody, can you guys hear us pretty well out there? Just want to make sure you pick up the conversation that we're having here. So that takes a second, but go ahead. So how are you?
I'm doing well, Iggy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm glad you.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
I know we spoke earlier, but you know.
Yeah. I know that it's been a while since you've been on this show. Actually, you were on.
Yeah, you know, I was such a baby, and it's like I feel like it was eons ago, and I honestly barely have too much recollection of it. You know, it's like it's crazy how I would like, I guess, to describe it as like the timelines pass. I wouldn't even say time because time is just a construct, but it's crazy how surreal it can be sometimes when you look back. If you're like, yeah, sometimes you can look back and it's very, let's say you can remember like things verbatim, photographically, etc. Yet sometimes you look back and it's like you got to bring out the binoculars, you know?
Sure. Absolutely.
So anyway.
Well, for those of you who don't know who this person I'm speaking to is, I know her as Lindsey Hooper. She now goes by the Astra Veda. That's your new call name, I guess. Kind of like when we amp up or we become this new version of ourselves, we change things, and so it's pretty exciting. And I know that you have recreated pieces and parts of yourselves and created these new adventures for yourself. Your family has expanded, which is really cool. And you know,
has it now? Yes, it has.
Yeah, so
for sure. Yeah. I have definitely been on a journey, quite a journey. And as you said, yeah, we tend to, I feel like the reason people end up going by different names is because, as you said, when we go on this journey, it's not that we don't resonate with our old names.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it will always be a part of us. Yet, it's almost as though we are stepping into our true form, and this name is what resonates with our true form or higher self, so to speak, or the more authentic version of ourselves, I would say.
Right.
It's not an alter ego. I don't want to hear any of that. I mean, it can be, you know, described as that to an extent, yet this is, it's something, it's almost like naming the road that you're traveling down, in a sense, you know.
That's awesome.
I know this sounds strange, but like, okay, this is my address now. This is where to reach me. I am no longer, so to speak, within and living in that skin of the person that I used to be. Not to say that I am not that person. Mm-hmm. Yet, and this, figure out how to put this eloquently and articulately. We are the same people, yet we are constantly changing, constantly growing. Yet when we step into the most powerful version of ourselves, the most confident version of ourselves, mm-hmm. the most successful version of ourselves, we owe it to ourselves to, it's almost like, you know, when you're born, your parents give you a name. It's like, it's almost as though they're placing your name is your crown.
Right.
Your name is your crown. That's what you go by. And when you go through a rebirth, and as I was saying, when you become your most progressive, your most successful, your most discerning, your most, integrated, and I want to say integrated because that word I want to emphasize integrity. When you become your most integrated, standing with integrity, kind of the same word in a sense, self, you deserve that crown. You deserve that new pair of armor on your forearms. Do you see what I'm saying? You deserve that new shield. And that shield is not going to look like the same armor you used to wear.
Exactly.
And there is a maker of those shields in that army. And the designer is not the same ever.
Interesting.
It's like going shopping for clothing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. You're talking to a guy who has wore many shields and many armors and many versions of himself, growing through it and moving through it. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how I like to compare it, So yeah, I've been in I used to work a lot in the disclosure movement. So a lot of the people, some of the people listening potentially know who I am. I've been off of Facebook for a bit, and even when I was still on Facebook, the algorithms are so misconstrued that a lot of my followers probably didn't see me a lot anyway. So.
Right. It's social media is a funny thing right now. It's very, I don't know. It's very
interesting.
Very
it's interesting.
funny.
That's why the only social media I have right now is going to be that of TikTok and Instagram. And the reason I have chosen these avenues is I have found that TikTok is a bit less censored.
Okay.
And gives you a bit more of a variety.
Okay.
And it's not an echo chamber. Let's just put it that way.
Good point.
And it's also therapeutic, especially if you have struggled with YouTube in the past. A lot of creators out there that are listening that are trying to potentially go with, it's just like, you're trying to build people, subscribers, things like this, share your message on YouTube, and it's just not getting anywhere. It's really frustrating. And you're trying to do it as a part of, your therapy, and your blogs and things like this that you can, so that in order for you to vent for your own well-being, to transmute, to purge, things like this, especially during these times, and or step into your own creator content or voice, etc. Now, TikTok, in my opinion, the reason I'm on there is because you can make 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts, yet it only allows 1 minute per clip. Yet, like I said, it is therapeutic for me.
Right.
It is my own personal vlog, so to speak, so that I can look into my eyes and say, okay, it's like looking into a mirror, so to speak, in a sense. I think it's very important for everyone to either have a diary or be vlogging some sort of way, especially, as I said, shortly ago, it's important for us to reflect on our journeys from birth, especially where we were from birth compared to where we are now, not only as individuals, yet as a society, as a world, as a collective, as a universe, etc. We are in a completely different place.
Yes. And it's always expanding and it's always changing very rapidly too. That's one thing about everything that we're doing in these technological lives that we've been forced into to some degree. Yes. And you still there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. That is definitely for sure. For sure.
All right,
for sure.
so I want to take you down the road here a little bit and kind of see where you have where you're going now, what's going on in your life now. I mean, I've been watching
Well,
your TikToks. I've been
yeah.
watching them, and they've been kind of they're a little different from what I'm accustomed to from what you've done in the past.
Yes, they are. Well, I decided quite some time ago to separate myself from the disclosure movement for various reasons that I am not super comfortable speaking on right now. Yet let's just say, let me just refer to this as we did earlier today, Iggy, speaking with one another. When we talk about the media and the Great Deception and what the word media actually means, she was actually a goddess, and one of her abilities were like magic and illusion. So media, that is, you have to understand that not only Fox News, things like these avenues, these vessels, yet places like Gaia TV
Oh, okay.
and other avenues that are a really big part of this quote New Age movement. They can get pretty deceptive as well. So
Interesting.
that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's
I
fine.
went on a journey basically after I had realized these things, and I started seeking answers within, and I began to learn more than I ever expected to learn about myself. I went through a lot of suffering, and not necessarily inflicted upon me, upon my being by anyone else. Yet it was more of a, I guess you would say, like, shamanistic path that I kind of put myself through. I would compare it as in a lot of native cultures, one initiation they will have you do, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. A shamanic initiation is there will be a hole dug within the earth, the womb, and you will spend the night in that hole.
Yes.
With the bugs, with the creatures, alone at night. You'll be buried.
Yes.
Not alive. You'll be able to breathe. Yet this is one of the initiations. So it was like, that's kind of what I would compare my journey to. In a sense, I isolated myself to the point of being a hermit, honestly. And it was very difficult, yet it was worth it. I isolated myself, and I embraced my shadow self, and I did a shit ton. Yes, I said shit. A shit ton of shadow work.
Sure.
And that's one thing, if anyone out there is listening right now, do your shadow work. This is one of the most important things right now that you can do, because if we don't embrace our shadow self, the dark side of our being, which is part of our lineage, our ancestral trauma, our ancestral accomplishments and success, it goes both ways. You have your yin, you have your yang. So just as much as you're embracing this light of this consciousness movement, or whatever, however you want to label it as, it's not going to be productive. It's actually going to be counterintuitive and counterproductive and extremely toxic if you're not embracing the shadow.
Right.
If you're not embracing that counterpart of yourself.
Yes.
And of the world. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Absolutely understand. The shadows
so therefore,
the shadows are part of us as much as the light is part of us.
Right. I mean, you think about it. You think about a sundial, without that shadow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what time it is. You wouldn't know what direction you're facing, etc. So basically, I've done tons of shadow work. I underwent a lot of schooling, so to speak.
Sure.
And This began, we're going on 3 years now of this. 3 years now of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or of that, of what I was, of the, how I was describing it as going into the depths, crawling into the depths, working with deities, working with my guides. Basically an initiation, and really working my ass off, because accepting and another part of this shadow work that I think is an important message for people to hear right now,
Mm-hmm.
because of this quote pandemic or whatever is happening right now. I don't want to even go in on that yet. Right now there are a lot of people who are lost.
Sure. Absolutely.
A lot of people, because we went from hearing motivational speakers like Gary V, this, that, like, oh, you have a purpose and you have to live it, and da, da, da. Okay, let me just say something. Where are all the motivational speakers now?
I had this conversation with somebody. I had the same conversation with one of my friends.
Where'd they go?
Yeah.
They left for a reason. Number one, we shouldn't need them, because do you see, we should be our own motivators.
Okay.
Number two, you don't have to have some great accomplishment and purpose to feel like living, or to feel like you are worth something,
Okay.
or to feel accomplished, or to feel a sense of security. You have to understand that this life is nothing less than a school, and a school of learning. Now, nobody graduated school, went from kindergarten to 12th grade in a matter of weeks, or even a matter of 5 years. It took 12 years. Do you see what I'm saying? 13 years.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Absolutely.
Do you see? So nothing is going to happen overnight. So my emphasis right now is for everyone out there with everything going on, is to really, really, accept and rest in the knowing that you don't have to have this huge purpose right now. You don't have to do you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. If sitting on your bed and binge watching Netflix for a month is what you need to do, do it. Because eventually I'm not going to say that's healthy necessarily, but for that time being, it might be healthy, so that to embrace that part of your shadow self. Sure. And not move, and not trauma response, and have to be busy, go, on the go, running from your shadow self.
Right.
Maybe you need to sit with your shadow self, feel tons of depressive thoughts, tons of anxieties. You see what I'm saying? To be like, oh, fuck this, to be like, oh, hell no, you are not going to rule my life. We are going to work together, and this is how we're going to do it. Practice divination, everyone has a different practice, has a different way of life.
Right.
Right now is the time to use discernment over everything. And I have spoken on this for years and years. Yeah. And what I will say is my journey right now, what I do currently, I practice. I'm a practitioner. I'm a left hand and right hand practitioner. I pick up what karma and justice won't take care of, because let's face it, we are living in a world where very good-hearted people are suffering unjustly.
Yes.
And here's the thing: back in the day, before the world was wiped by false dogmatic prisons and religions, okay, there was a such thing as sorcery and magic and mediumship and community and practitioners and witches and fellow people. Now, did they fight? Did they battle? Of course. Okay, that's just human nature. Yet at the same time, it wasn't looked down upon, and it was there. It was a thing. We communed. and we worked together, and we didn't, there was not nearly as much judgment upon you know, our fellow brethren as there is now.
Right.
And this is why people were happier. This is why people had a purpose, because everyone in the village had a purpose. So there wasn't room for depression. There wasn't room for anxiety.
Right.
You were taught from a very young age to use both light and dark parts of your own being. You're taught from a young age the old mysteries, the old magic, the old ancient Sanskrits and Vedas and the list goes on. People were taught these things. They were schooled in these things. And they had a very close relationship with their deities. So this is the path that I have followed, and that I have found myself standing firm on. And therefore, this is why I do the work that I do now, because people need help. People need help. And someone has to, you know, and I'm not the only one. There are several people out there. There are several practitioners, practitioners, and it's growing. It's actually growing.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
When you spoke of deities, is this similar to like spirit guides or angels or anything like that?
Yes. Thank you for yes. Okay, so it's no different than any type of religion or any type of faith or practice in the world when it comes to spiritual work. If you worship or divinate to Jesus or God, they are deities. If you speak to the archangels, they are deities. If you talk to the quote, and the reason I say quote demons is because they get such a negative connotation, and I'm not saying to go out and just start worshiping demons. Just so let's pause for that. Let me explain the difference in these things. Okay.
Sure.
I will tell you, if you look into the Bible, because, you know, people hear the word witchcraft, and, you know, it's embedded in our ancestral DNA to kind of freak out, think we're gonna, you know, get some karmic whiplash from working with certain beings and things like this, or doing spell work for others and ourselves. Now, this is simply untrue, unless you are doing it in an inauthentic way.
Sure.
And you're not respecting the deities and etc. Now, if you look at the Bible, you know, I hear a lot of Christians say, oh, that's witchcraft, and this is okay. Let me ask you a question. I gotta clear my throat. So
let me clear my throat.
What exactly? Now that song's gonna be stuck in my head. So anyway, when people in the Bible, when people lived back in those times, were so afraid of this quote loving God that he was going to slaughter, upon which he did what, tens or at least 10,000 babies in the night.
Yeah, I know.
What did they do? They painted sheep's blood above their door. That is blood magic. The God in the Bible allowed human sacrifice more than a few times. Okay. That is magic. That is sorcery.
Interesting. Yes.
Okay. Jesus was a magician. Jesus performed necromancy. He raised people from the dead. Okay.
Yes.
Jesus turned water into wine. He walked on water. Okay. So explain how that, and there, the list goes on. The Bible is basically a spell book if you haven't really opened your eyes to it.
Yeah. Interesting that you said that.
And every single time you read a verse about when an angel from heaven or God sends an angel to a human, how does it describe that human acting? It literally says that they were trembling in fear. Now, if this angel this angelic being was so beautiful and so sweet and so nice and so loving, why would they tremble? Like, of course they would be startled, but why would they fear? Why would they be in fear?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the
So
only,
if you think that an archangel is any different than a demon when it comes to being, quote, narcissistic, you're
yes.
very wrong. You know, these guys are just of a different dimension. They just live in different planes,
Sure.
but they
Absolutely.
still have their very own interests.
Yes. Yeah. I could see where human beings, if an angel appeared and it's something that you don't have a point of reference to, and then it's, I think I'd be scared too.
Exactly, and there is no point of reference because the Bible doesn't elaborate. Well, it probably used to, especially the Ethiopian Bible, which contained an extra 88 books.
Oh, wow.
Now it is the oldest Bible in the world, but it could have been burned because just recently, I don't know if the viewers or anyone has had caught this. Recently in Ethiopia, a church was ransacked, stormed, and a mass murder of 700 and some people, everyone in the church dead.
Wow.
Dead, gone. Supposedly this church contained the Ark of the Covenant.
Really?
Now I cannot attest to that. I've not done divination. And who knows, maybe this is where this Bible was located.
So
And
you're saying that these people were massacred basically for housing something that is very sacred.
exactly, over 700 people, yes.
Okay, wow.
Yes. Yes, and this goes to show, and anyone can look it up unless they've already removed it. This goes to show how much they want to hide the ancient knowledge, the ancient ways, the ancient practices that actually helped us evolve and live the life that we were meant to live.
It kind of sounds like, you and I talked about this a little bit earlier, it kind of sounds like someone is really just trying to manipulate the system in some way.
Exactly. And this is when we talk about how this is when we approach the point of what has happened. Where have, quote, all the cowboys gone? You know, kind of like a reference like to that song. Is she talking about cowboys, really? Or is she just talking about the ancient warriors, the ancient defenders of justice, cowboys, the men that would step in when the justice system, the, quote, law in town, didn't defend you, didn't do shit. Women were raped, people were murdered, people were robbed. And the law, the sheriff in town was paid off, and this is how it began. But it's always been a trickle-down effect. And this is why the cowboys were often considered criminals and, you know,
Gotcha.
bad people. Same thing to deities. Anything that they don't want you to know or work with or realize or embrace or practice, they paint a negative connotation on it.
Yes. You know,
and they do this to keep you in fear.
you have a valid point there.
Because when you're living in fear, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't touch this,
Right.
because there will be repercussions. That's why they push religion. Be the bigger person, be the better person, live in suffering, turn the other cheek. That's why a lot of people will sit there and say they don't believe in guns because this and that, and God will take care of that, and of this, or creator, or this higher being, or just, and I'm not saying to go out and buy a gun. I'm not preaching that at all.
Right.
I'm just saying, if an intruder comes to my house with a gang of 10 other people, and he is armed to the nine, they are armed to the nines with weapons, and my family is inside, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to stand there and say, Almighty God, could you please stop them
Right.
from slaughtering us and doing God knows what to my family? Now, okay, so then we get to the point of going into battle. So you've got two, you have two territories battling one another. Do they just drop all their weapons and allow themselves to be slaughtered for
Right.
no apparent reason?
Mm-mm.
Basically, you're committing suicide when you're not standing in your power,
Right.
when you're not seeking that knowledge. You are dying a slow death, spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Yes, I see what you're saying, because it's funny that you brought that up about the cowboys and stuff. I actually, on here I am gonna talk about a show on Netflix. It's called Godless. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's about the West. It's about
Mm-hmm.
how the West is just it's like you take what's yours, kind of attitude, or you defend
Right.
if you can. And there was, and it's funny how all the characters, they all believe they're right and they're wrong. It's just how it all plays out. The bad guys try to do good things because they did bad things, and it was really interesting.
And right, it's a never-ending cycle, and it's a program,
Yes.
and it's a brainwashing tactic. It's a manipulation tactic. That's exactly what it is. And they know what they're doing. For example, one thing I feel the need to defend, especially, and this is just an example. She is an example. Santa Muerte, she has actually been excommunicated or removed from Catholicism and rejected by the church, and the Vatican. Okay, the Vatican
Mm-hmm.
has denounced her, okay, saying she is a demon that you should not work with. She will and all of these crazy these things, and they're slandering her, and they're making her out to be someone that she's not, and that she never was. They're making her out to be, and the reason why they're doing that is because they know who she is. They know her power, just like they know all the other deities' powers, like
Right.
Hecate, Medusa, and the list goes on and on. And they have been using these deities for centuries against us with, quote, worship, quote, entrapment, and getting them to perform certain things without giving them back without working with these deities and using using the deities' power for personal gain, while disrespecting and not honoring these deities in the proper way, because these deities don't want to do dirty work unless it's just. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
They don't want to be, they're not who you've been told they are. They're simply not. And if you doubt anything I'm saying, dig and do the research. They still print books,
Yes.
You still have access to these things. Research it.
Yeah.
And And here's the thing, this is why you're seeing a rise in practitioners, a rise in witches, actually like coming out and not being ashamed, because they know that the ancient gods are waking up, the ancient gods have been freed, and they want to help humanity because they're pissed. They're really, really upset at what has been done to humanity in their name, by using a certain sorcery. I mean, sorceries are always been used for good and bad purposes. Now it's the intent of which you use it that matters.
This is true. This is very true.
And like I said, these deities, they are pissed, they are angry, and they are basically, in my opinion and through my divination, have shown me and explained to me that they are coming to aid, in a way, humanity, to those that have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the heart to listen and feel and sense. They are coming to our side.
So let me ask,
in order to reestablish proper justice and proper order, and a reset of karma. That's why all this there's a lot of astrological things going on right now, and we are seeing astrologically a lot of these astrologists predict and say that this is the end of a certain cycle, of a huge long-term cycle, an end of a karmic cycle. And this is why you're going to be on one side or the other. This is the apocalypse, which means the unveiling.
Correct.
Apocalypse, that's what it means. And you are going to have to pick a side. Are you going to lay down and suffer and see the world as a horrible, horrible place? Or are you going to embrace it?
Sure.
And stand in your power and form a relationship with these deities, because they will be there for you, and they will answer you, and they will protect you.
So we're going to have a lot of people who are going to be coming, better terms, an awakening of sorts, where they're going to start to feel things that they never felt before, emotions, feelings, and
they're gonna it's gonna, like, on both spectrums, the yin and yang. They're either gonna feel really depressed and hopeless, give up, and just be like, oh, the world's going to shit, just whatever. And this is hence the mask wearing. You're amputating the face, you're taking away all human connection and emotion. You're literally reprogramming people, which is going to end up in a result of a lot of humans not knowing how to read emotions, not knowing how to process emotions, not knowing how to understand emotions, and not knowing how to even be emotional or feel anything. Which leads to hopelessness, despair, poverty, all kinds of things.
Leads to a lot.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I know that you work with Santa Muerta, which is Holy Death, for those of you who don't know. So in what capacity, how do you how do you work with her? How is that?
Well, I will tell you one thing. She is one that works with you. And this is what I warn people about. Do not approach her.
Right.
I mean, you can maybe say, like, if you have a feeling or a sense that she may be around, like, she keeps showing up, like little synchronicities that happen, someone will mention her, and you will, just sequences of events. And, you can maybe say, like, okay, is that you? When you're speaking, like, that's the approach you take, like, is that you kind of situation. You don't go out and buy a statue and make her an altar and say, hi, Santa. Like, you don't do that. You don't do that. She does not like that. She chooses very carefully who she works with.
So basically, she doesn't want to be worshipped.
And most of the people that she chooses to work with have experienced many deaths and a lot of death in their life, because she is a quote death goddess. That's one of her attributes.
Okay.
So be careful. I work with her. She is one of my main protectors. She is loving. She will send you. She's very picky. She doesn't like to share her space very much. She's very orderly, so to speak, and very orderly. Yet at the same time, she's also a goddess of prosperity, of luck, of money, things like this, of knowledge, of life and of death. Yet, like I warn people of working with her and other deities, you don't want to fuck around and find out. Like, this is not a game. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like Christianity is very much, in my opinion, a game. And it just baffles me sometimes how people say, oh, well, if you, working with these deities, they can cause so much suffering, and, calling on, quote, demons and like, for example, people see like Lilith and Hecate as demons, things like this, and the Vatican has termed Santa Muerte as a demon. They're like, oh, they will cause you suffering, despair, trauma. Now, tell me how many times in the Bible it explains why God causes you to suffer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What did Job, he's just one of God's victims. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't think that the Christian God is any different than having his own agenda. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I suffered the most. Not my opinion, my experience. And I'm not trying to turn people away from Christ or God. I'm just saying, do your research. Do your research and do it well, and use divination. I mean, the Hebrews, the Jews practiced divination on a constant basis. Yes. Prayer is divination. If you're a Christian and you pray and you're listening for the voice of God, you are practicing divination. It's not witchcraft.
This is
true. So
true.
go easy on yourself. Go easy on the people who are practitioners that do offer things like past life readings, which the Bible actually refers to 48 different times, past lives. Be respectful to people of all practices, of all religion, of all faiths. And, people, I'm tired of, and this is one reason I have been guided to be a voice and become a practitioner for this growing movement, proverbially speaking, because someone has to speak up about it. Someone has to defend it. Someone who has researched and gained the knowledge and endlessly and tirelessly educated themselves.
I agree.
Do you see what I'm saying? Someone has to speak about it, and I have to come to, it is my duty as a practitioner to defend other practitioners and to defend myself and say, hey, we're not bad. Like, witches aren't, sitting around here being evil. Tarot readers are not sitting around plotting your death, worshiping, past life regressionists. Like, we're not sitting around plotting like evil things to happen. Because I, do practice magic and perform, spell work for others, because I do these things, everything that I just mentioned, because I do these things for others upon their request, does not mean I'm a bad person. I'm only here to help. I'm only here to educate.
Right.
That's the only, I'm simply a vessel. That's all I am. I'm a vessel of what I pray will be hope for humanity.
Yes.
Especially during times like these, when someone has lost, sight of that guiding light and that guiding star. I hope to not be necessarily that guiding star, but show them, point them in the path and the direction of that guiding light so that they can be their own star.
Yeah, because right now we're coming into a new a new how do you call it, expansion, a new movement of exploring who we are, because we've been in these lockdowns for about a year now. Today is actually the 1 year anniversary.
Oh,
I don't want to
surprise.
I don't want to give it like I don't want to give it any magical,
Exactly.
power.
We don't want to. And that's the thing, Iggy. I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm not saying to ignore completely what is going on in the world. I'm saying work with your shadow self. Don't work with the shadow of this world and the illusions of this world, because it's just there to bring you down and to entrap you. Okay, that's what they want. They want you to go back through the reincarnation trap. They want to dogmatically imprison you because they feed off of your loosh.
Mm.
That's what gets them high. That's what keeps them alive. I mean, has anyone seen Prince Andrew lately? He looks like a fucking walking corpse. Like, that is just a prime example, okay? Like, that face is frightening.
Yeah.
That face is frightening. They don't even attempt CGI on this guy.
Yeah, he's like 99 years old.
So they say. So could be older.
It could be.
Just saying.
I'm not sure if he's breathing.
I don't. Do they have to breathe?
I don't know. I
Do
just
they need air?
I looked at him.
Is that their life source? Because I don't know.
I looked at him. I'm going, is he even breathing? I'm like,
right. Do they just like sit him up in the pose?
I don't know. It's
they
just
used
funny.
to do at funerals.
Probably. I just know right now that we're moving into this new chapter. We've been fed the fear. We've been fed, whatever you want to feel. We've been fed. And, you ate what you wanted to eat in this process. You absorbed what you wanted to absorb. Now, and you and I talked about this earlier today, how this magic of the deities is being abused by the people who have power, people who have control. They know the spells. They know how to work it. And I found that really interesting, because that makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me when you told me that.
Well, of course they know how to work it, because they're the ones who have the money to collect the artifacts, to pay the archaeologists to go into these tombs. When you see these movies about them entrapping these deities, it's not a joke. They're letting you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like I said, finally, these beings have somehow broken free.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're losing hope in any way, shape, or form, just know that there definitely is something wonderful going on for these beings basically to be out of their prisons and coming to our aid right beside of us.
Yeah.
They're offering their power to us because they're free to do it. Now I just want to give an example. Okay, so
go ahead.
When we get into I want to speak about Medusa for a second.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if anyone knows the history behind Medusa. Some people do, some people don't. Well, basically, short backstory. You had Athena, you had Poseidon. Okay. Medusa was very beautiful, and still is, in my opinion. But she was Athena's handmaiden. Well, Poseidon ends up raping Medusa. Okay. And guess who is blamed? Medusa is blamed. So Poseidon orders Athena to have her killed.
Wow.
Okay. He turns her into basically, you know, of course, what the text described with the snake hair, etc.
Right.
And Athena feels so bad. She didn't want to do it. She knew Poseidon was full of shit. And so what she does is she has Perseus behead Medusa. And you will notice the Perseus constellation is also called what? Algor. Algor. Okay.
You say Al Gore?
There you go. This is how they do it. Do you see? Al Gore.
Interesting. That's pretty wild. Never knew that.
They make this is part. It's called spelling. Just like you spell a word, just like you spell a name. It's all in the numerology. And of course, the sky, it's within the sky that Al Gore lies. And who was the first one to mention climate change?
Okay. Yes.
So that's just a little tidbit, a little snippet of the way these quote powers or descending and dying of powers that be or that were are operate. This is how they do it. You know, like for example, you have Tyler Perry. What is his altar? Medea.
Yeah.
It's in your face. They put it in your face.
Wow.
Bill Gates, quote, gatekeeper, right?
Okay.
Keeping like gates. The gateways to what? Hell? You know, and or whatever you want to call it. Like, what is he like?
Hades.
Like what? You know, I mean, everybody knows kind of how creepy he is. So which gate is he guarding? You know,
Interesting.
or standing at, or within, or without, what have you.
Yeah.
Half of these people who are in the public eye do not go by their real name.
This I'm aware of, yes.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're using it for sorcery in a way that lacks integrity, okay, morals and an upright character, don't change your fucking name. You know what I mean?
So do these, I know we kind of briefly talked a little bit, you know, you said that some of these deities are starting to break out of these chains and these strongholds,
proverbial prisons and vessels. Yes.
Right. So what happens when they come out of that? What do they do? I mean, what?
Well, it, like I said, for those who have eyes to see, wisdom to discern, ears to clearly hear, hearts to feel and bleed with passion, upright passion, and are willing to work. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
These deities are rushing to people like this, to practitioners, to people who decide to become practitioners. And they need practitioners that are not afraid of left-hand work.
Explain left hand. Explain a little bit.
Left-hand magic, left-hand practitioners deal with what some people like to call justice magic.
Okay.
Some people try to hide behind the word justice magic. Some witches are like, oh my God, call it what it is. Like you're putting a hex on someone, you're cursing someone.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, now here's the thing. And this is where it gets tricky. I would say, you know, now I'm not going to deny that there are practitioners out there just throwing hexes. And there are differences between wards, banishments, hexes, and curses. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are even death spells, which I do not perform, okay?
Sure.
But I know practitioners that do. Now, the left-hand work is the, quote, black magic, which I don't like to use the word black magic because it was derived from the fear. The word black magic was derived from the fear of African Americans who came over and performed hoodoo.
Okay.
And they termed it black magic. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I don't really like to refer to it as that, but it's because magic is magic, no matter which way you look at it, up and down and all around.
Right.
I mean, you know, Jesus performed left-hand work when he raised people from the dead.
That's a good point.
If you
That's
want
a
to
valid
think about
point.
it. So it's necromancy, okay? And so did a man that was an evangelist by the name of Smith Wigglesworth in the 1800s.
Okay.
You can look him up as well. So he raised hundreds. So anyway, left-hand magic. So left-hand magic, I don't practice unless there is a just reason. For example, abusers, pedophiles, people who have been abusing people for years, decades, things like this.
Mm-hmm.
People who are not going to learn their lesson in this life. So sometimes what practitioners will do is they will throw, number one, a ward in their house, which is basically like a protection jar, or how, you know, you can do hydromancy with a ward. You can do it by intention. You can use certain herbs. Hawthorn is really good for that, to keep away, you know, nasty people and spirits from traveling into your home astrally, on the astral plane. And so that's not necessarily, I wouldn't really call that a left hand. That's kind of, and that's more so right hand,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, you're not causing, quote, harm, as some of us like to put it. Now, then you get into the banishment, where you are banishing someone, you are banishing them from your life, from someone else's life. You are barring them from ever entering or bothering this person again. Then you have your hexes. Hexes I like to describe as like, and I'm not going into every single little detail of these certain things because I'm trying to keep it just general layman's terms for the audience.
Sure.
Hexes are kind of like a small little itchy curse. They usually don't stick around for too long. It's just there to kind of mess with somebody's life a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You shouldn't mess with me type situation. So now you're going to have to pay a bit of a karmic price. You see what I'm saying? Now, a curse can last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we know what death spells lead to.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. You have to remember that practitioners are very close to their deities. For example, if someone were to hurt me or make me happy, right?
Yeah.
If someone were to gift me something, my deities in some sort of way would reward them without me even asking.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, if someone were to harm me, because deities and your attachment to them, okay, and their attachment to you and your relationship, your strong bond and relationship, they have to feel your energy too. They have to feel that pain too, and they get pissed. So it's almost like, it's almost as though, okay, like for example, Medusa, Al Gore, they call it like the Al Gore, right? You don't want to mess with her necessarily. You don't want to make her upset, because she is akin to a pit bull who will literally chase a person down and most likely not have mercy on their soul. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And it can actually result in death for the other person.
Okay.
So do you see what I'm saying? This is why they say be careful working with deities, because you have to understand sometimes it's not the practitioner that wishes the harm necessarily.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the feel of that.
You have to understand, and Santa Muerte is the same way, in a sense.
They're almost like a faithful companion of sorts.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like a good friend that if someone hurts you, then, oh yeah, we took care of it. It's no problem. It's all good.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's not even that. It's like, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, well, and like someone will, do something not good towards me. Not often. It's a very, very, very rare occasion. Yet I just kind of look at them and I'm like, ooh, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, like if I get upset. And that's another thing as a practitioner, it's very important to control your emotions and be very grounded and understand how to transmute emotions and your trauma. Because those deities pick up on that. And if you have any mercy at all on your quote enemies or those that hurt you, you don't, do you see what I'm saying? I think that's a bit self-explanatory. I don't really need to say much more.
I wanted to ask you a question about when you say that you use spells, like when you're using them to help others or whatever. I'm sure there's some type of ritual that you probably do in order to
yes,
make sure.
And thank you for asking that, because before taking clients of any sort, I divinate. I use divination. I consult my deities. I make sure they are coming from a proper place. I am not going to just work for anyone. And I don't care how much money they offer me. Sometimes you just have to say no. Because sometimes people, here's the thing, when people have been abused, like for example, if you're in a toxic relationship and you've been abused, you have to understand that you were toxic yourself to even be magnetically attracted to that person.
Okay.
So you are abusing yourself in a sense. Now, I'm not condoning the abusers by any means.
I get you.
But if I have a client come to me that I know has not taken blame for anything or any of it, and it's all the abuser's fault, like they didn't even have a hand in sticking around or doing this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see.
I'm not going to work. I can't consciously and have a conscience and go on about my life just throwing hexes and curses and banishment at people for clients that aren't willing to take on their own responsibility, that are just stuck in a victim mind state. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get it, because I was always curious how the karmatic effect is that, the cause and effect of you doing that work.
Exactly. Well, see, and this is why people hire practitioners, because they don't want the karmic reverb.
Right.
Now, there is a price for everything, but when it comes to justice and people really, really being horrible individuals that, like I said, will never learn their lesson in this life, that will continue to hop from person to person to abuse.
Right.
For those types of situations, I feel most of the time that it is just, and that whatever comes to them is coming to them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Albeit by my hand or my ushering hand or not. And like I said, that karmic reverb is not going to come back on to me because I have protection. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm protected.
Yes.
Now, my clients may not be yet in the protected state that they wish to achieve yet. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get it. Just because in shamanism, there's very similar aspects to that.
Exactly. So, for example, you know, you have someone coming out of an abusive relationship, they've done their work, they're healing, and they're like, okay, they won't stop. You know, they're like, I understand I'm partly at fault, but they just won't stop. And they're using this, you know, do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're
saying. And they come to me for help, and they have never practiced divination. They have never worked with a deity. They just don't have the protection.
Right.
This is where I come in, so that they can be protected and receive their justice.
Because a lot of people
yeah.
do a lot of stuff and they don't even know they're doing it. And
Thank you. Exactly. And this is why, like I said, I don't take on any client, even with some people who, some practitioners who create, say, and sell and offer to other practitioners or people wishing to work with deities. They actually will do divination before even handcrafting something for someone. Do you see what I'm saying? Because they don't want that deity to be disrespected. They don't want that deity to be used for, you know,
right.
The wrong purposes.
Absolutely.
Because when you get into this practice, like I said, it's a, you know, F around and find out kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a game.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just not, you know, and it's kind of like, there are a lot of people who consider themselves practitioners or try to jump right into it, and they just think, oh, this is cool. Kind of like, you know, remember when like Christ consciousness was being spread and love and light and this toxic light worker movement.
Yeah, that's,
you know, where everyone ignored their shadow selves, and it was a trend. So everyone went out and like bought crystals.
Right.
And, you know, thought they were, you know, mediums and this and that, and they really fucked with some people's lives. You know?
Oh, no. This is a true story. Yeah, I know that story very well. I know. I've seen it. I've run into it.
Right.
You and I have probably been helping people get back in alignment from all that.
Exactly, because we have a duty.
Yes.
And there's a reason we have a duty for that.
So we're winding down here real quick. So I wanted to move along. It goes fast when you're having fun here. But I wanted to see what you wanted to leave with our listeners. Something, you know, that you think that maybe it's something they can grab onto.
Like I was saying earlier, don't lose hope. You know, when in doubt, research. Do your shadow work. Find yourself. Get in touch with your inner child. And at first, it's going to be painful. It's going to be depressing, you know, because all the ancestral trauma comes along with that. And karmic and ancestral karma. And the black sheep is usually always the one that has to deal and take on that family karma. But eventually, one day, you will not be the black sheep. I just want to say there is a future if you choose, but you have to step through. You have to step through that gate. And if you're choosing, if you're like, okay, I you know, if you feel your spirit dying, like, you know, your interest dying, reach out to a deity, you know, with pure intentions, and start filling your spirit back up, and use divination, you know, because I'm just speaking from experience. For example, I'm at a point in my life where I have never felt more protected, more empowered, more loved, more respected than I ever have in my entire life.
That's good.
And a lot of that comes from my deities, kind of like when Christians have a close relationship with God, or the Holy Spirit, or this or that. They feel, you know, just amazing. Yet I have worked with both, you know, and I will say that you are actually going to get answers. You are going to see things happen. You are going to feel protected. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You are going to feel like your deity is actually listening to you.
Very good.
Because they are going to talk back to you. Now, and this is one thing that I offer among many other things, if, ancestral wise and deity wise, if you're like, okay, should I work with this deity? I can actually contact the deity and be like, okay, so is this okay? Do you see what I'm saying? Would you consider this? And people have to understand that these deities, they understand human beings. For example, Hecate, she's like 3 in 1. Okay, she deals with the mother-daughter bond. She deals with, she's gone through a lot. For example, people don't understand that these deities, for like, especially Hecate, like, she suffers from PTSD. She suffers from anxiety. She suffers from depression. Yes, her favorite color is black, but she doesn't mind rose quartz and a lot of love.
Awesome.
And she's going to give you a lot of love in return.
Nice. Very good. All right.
So, and for anyone, interested, in booking anything, if you're ready to take the next step, feel free to contact me. I can't guarantee that I'm gonna have the go-ahead, but if you're coming from a pure place and you're coming from a pure heart, then I, as a vessel, I don't even like using the word I. You know what I'm saying? I can guarantee you that you will receive the help you've been seeking.
Very good.
So.
All right, Lindsey, I want to thank you very, very much for joining me and being on the show with me tonight. It's funny how the universe works. It's not that complicated.
Yes,
it's just
it's very, yes.
And
like I said, when you reawaken your spirit and you get in touch and in line with the things of the divine, whether it's the infernal divine or the higher divine, you will see results.
awesome.
And you're going to heal your anxiety. You're going to heal that depression. You're going to heal all that crap and all that weight you've been carrying if you are willing to put in the work. And for anyone who has any questions and wants to book a session, like I said, I'm the vessel. That's what I'm here for, because we all have a duty and a responsibility to reform the injustice or the justice, quote. We have to reform this system because it's not working.
Okay.
It's only hurting. So let's all, let's all do this together, and let's all focus on a brighter future and not entertain things that don't bring us joy or happiness, contentment or peace. Right. And let's move forward with faith, confidence, hope, and love.
Very good. So they can find you on Instagram, correct?
Yes. Instagram at _Astra_Veda.
And then on TikTok?
On TikTok, it is Astra Veda. And then my email. Personal email, if to get in contact with me, that is astraveda1@gmail.com. And Astra Veda is spelled ASTRAVEDA.
Awesome.
So
very good. So thank you very much, and we will talk again off the air and show, and we'll stay in communication, because that's kind of the way it sounds like it's going to be. And thank you. And I always have fun on these shows and listening and learning new things and remembering things that you forget sometimes, and things that the spirit wants you to remember, and just kind of, right. So that's the biggest cool thing. All right. Well, you have a great evening. Thank you very much.
All right. You too, Iggy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that segment today with the Astra Veda, Lindsey Hooper. She's a good friend of mine, and she does divination work. She works with deities, which deities are also, spirit guides, angels, and different things like that. So so there's no confusion. And so today, that's what we talked about, just all the cool stuff about metaphysical stuff and the holistic stuff and how it comes together. This is just another person who shares their gift in a special way, kind of like you and myself. We're all gifted. We are all one. We are all part of the same soup of sorts, the same collective with different perspectives and views on things. And so that's what Lindsey shared with us today, a different perspective on the world and a different perspective and perceptions on how things work, and things that may seem like mythological and things that may seem that are a little bit out there. They're not out there really. When you start to put the pieces together and the puzzles together, it all starts to fit. Sometimes it looks like it's not going to fit, and it does, and it opens up these aha moments for you. So for me, it was just one of those moments where you just reach out. You don't know why you're reaching out. You say, "Hey, remember me?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, of course." It's just one of those things you just have to like do and kind of step out of your shell. And so that's what we're trying to do here on With Insights Radio. That's what we're doing, Iggy Garcia Live. So I hope you enjoyed our show tonight. Next week, I'll be back. I might be back Friday, I believe, with another guest. I'm not sure who that is yet because they haven't confirmed yet. But it's fun. I enjoy what I do. So, guys, thank you very much. I want to say Matakuyasin, Irisikwi. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. And Ho'oponopono, what is above is below. Namaste, all the things that align you, all the things that bring you together. And with that, I want to say, Oho, have a good evening. Be well. Take care of yourselves. Sleep well. Put out to the universe what you want back. You know, the universe always says yes. The universe says yes. And when you say, I would like that, the universe says yes. I don't want that, and the universe says yes. Be well, my friends. Take care. I will see you next time on Iggy Garcia Live on the With Insights Radio Network. Take care.